Right, hey everyone, I'm Klloo. So, last time around, we used It's Now's guide to start setting up custom armor, right? So, using commands, we can now generate our textures, right? We went through how to actually set up the models, what you have to retexture, and what models you have to create. But now it's time to get a little bit more functional with it. Excuse the the poor shade. In editing, it looked fine, but here in game, it's a little too bright for copper armor. But more importantly, what we really want to set up is a way for the player to actually access the new armor that we're making. So, for instance, we want it craftable. Now, in order to actually do this, we have to go from just making a resource pack to actually making a data pack. So, if we quickly recap what we did last time, right? We set up a resource pack, right? Resource pack with all our model textures. So for equipment, right, we have copper armor, and then we have all the textures linked to it through entity and equipment. So you can actually do a whole bunch of different models, which is fantastic, right? So using the same copper armor, we can do horses, and of course we can tweak the armadillo scoots to be anything we want, like turtle armor for the wolf here. And similar to the current setup, right, I have commands to generate them both. So they appear like fully functional items. However, this is, I don't know, I did iron. I meant to do armor, but we have iron horse armor. You can read down there. That's the actual item it is, and then it appears as copper horse armor, and of course gets equipped like copper horse armor. So we can take that one off, put this one back on. Same thing. Same with the wolf armor, right? It appears as wolf armor turtle, but it's actually iron horse armor. Though again, equipable to the wolf. Now, the main difference you need to do for wolves and horses is you're going to use the body slot, right? So you use head, feet, chest, or legs for a player, but you use body for any entity. So for instance, for a llama, you can also do their cloth armor, right? So you'd have to set that to body for it to be equipable and make it actually render. But, right, that's enough about the old. Let's talk about the new. So setting up a data pack, which is a little bit different. So if we take a look at the startings off, right, we have our data pack, we have data with Minecraft, and then there's a few different ways to actually go about setting up the armor. So for instance, you can do recipes, which is probably what you will want to do, but you can also do loot tables, which is something a little bit better, right? Because, for instance, you have stuff like the elytra that usually generates in the end. So wouldn't you want that to be very similar, right? You can set up a loot table, and then you can link it to chests. Now, if we do bat elytra, there we go. We have a reskinned and fully functional, right? Actually, I shouldn't call it reskinned, it's just a completely different elytra, right? So it's Batwing. I'm still using elytra. You can use Jigsaw, you can use whatever you want. But there we go. It has its own model. And same with flight, right? We can fly with it. And it's meant to look like bat wings. I basically just took the bat wings from my other data pack, which look good in a 16 by 16. Not so much, well, that's kind of alright, right? Yeah. It's the right color. Maybe needs a little bit more prongs. It's more pseudo butterflies. But the point is, there is so much you can do now. So, how do we actually go about setting this stuff up? Well, there is a few different components you actually want to use in conjunction with the new equipable and item model, right? So, item model is significantly better than using the old custom model data, because custom model data, you have to create this array, and then you have to link it individually, right, in the model file of the actual item. In this, you can directly link anything you create or spawn in game with a model in itself, meaning that compatibility issues, no longer a problem, right? Every resource pack, as long as they use this setting, right, of item models, will be compatible with one another. So for elytra, right, we're using elytra as base, but again, we can use any item we want. Jigsaws are probably what you want to utilize, right? And you can get around the stack size by setting the stack size. You can give it durability by setting max damage, and then you can also make it repairable. So, for instance, there's no bat wings in the game, so we've just set it to phantom membrane. So it will actually get damaged, and we can repair it on an anvil like normal with a phantom membrane. Similar to the armor before, we're setting equipable, so it's a chest slot. You can technically also put it in the head slot. I have no idea how the texture would look, so you know what, why don't we just test it out? But to make a wing set, or whatever you're using actually able to fly, you need to set glider, right? This is probably going to look really wonky, but it's piqued my interest now, so we'll save it and reload. The one we have spawned in already will have the initial version, right? So it'll still be equipable to chest, but this should be equipable to head. And look at that, it just doesn't render, right? Because there's no correct model for it to render. But technically speaking, we should still be able to fly. I know I'm in creative, yeah, there we go. We can still fly even though it's in the head slot. So you can just give the player any sort of armor you want, right? You can use the normal armor model and you can make it glidable, right? Using, again, that new component of glider. So this is a loot table, right? We're setting up the pool, the roles and the entry, and in here we have all the components to actually give it. So again, saying its name, rarity is something else you want to set, otherwise it will use the inbuilt rarity of the item you're using. So for instance, for a Jigsaw and Elytra, it's automatically set to epic anyway, but for instance, if you're using it for something like Copper Armor, you might want to set this to common. Then we also have the item model, which is just the icon in inventory. Then we have its equipable, which we've gone over, and then repairable, right? What's repairable with? Now, that is the loot table side of things. What about actual recipes? Well, if I grab the right one, which is down here, there we go, and we go back, we can set up crafting recipes. Crafting recipes are fantastic because you can set the components, and I can't remember, but I feel like they might have updated, or maybe not, the input. Either way, right? We've set copper ingots, and we've done shaped crafting. So for instance, we have to set the equipment in 2 straight lines, which is, what is this for? Boots. Isn't there, there's a space in between. I've copied the iron armor, which you can just do in general, right? You can go through all the Minecraft directories and just use them as your initial blueprint. But here we have, again, I'm using Jigsaw. We have the item name, common rarity, so it appears white. Again, item model, equipable. But then we also have repairable, max damage, max stack size, and more importantly, attribute modifiers. So this is how we actually give it properties. So that's equivalent to other armor in the game. So for instance, we're just setting the armor, but you can set any of the attributes that actually appear in game. So for instance, if you do /attribute, you can take a look at the whole list, right? So we can do armor toughness, we can make it give a bonus to attack or attack speed or movement, right? There is so much for you to play around with, but more importantly, right? We can get copper ingots, and we can make a full set of equipment just like normal, right? Headpiece, and how do they normally do legs, or do you do legs first? You can't do legs first, right? 1, 2, oh, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. Totally know what I'm doing. But we have copper armor, right? And its armor values are all set. It will give armor, and it is currently, the way I've adjusted it, slightly worse than iron, but better than leather. So the helmet is 1, iron is 2, and this is 1.5, right? And again, we equip it all, and it's all proper looking. And there we go. That's recipes in a nutshell. So again, you do have to swap to using a data pack, but, you know, definitely worth it. This is going to spawn so many inventions, so many creations for players, right? Where we're getting to peak creativity. We just need mobs and blocks, and we kind of have blocks, but I think they should redo how they do blocks, right? But yeah, super exciting. Again, even the horse armor, you can give it armor. Heck, you can give it movement speed. You can just go nuts with the textures. I haven't done a recipe, right, for the turtle scoots or the copper horse armor, but yeah, there's really nothing to this, right? All it is just setting up the data pack side of things. So again, we'll briefly just go over the proper way to set up, right? So a data pack, you stick it in the data pack folder. You need a pack.mc meta, which just identifies the pack format, give it a name, and then from there, we're doing data, and you'd usually use your own naming scheme, but I've just stuck with Minecraft. Again, it shouldn't matter. Again, with the way things are set up, unless you're directly replacing something, which you shouldn't be doing, but if you do, right, then you'd want another naming array. Otherwise, everything should be compatible. And then we have loot tables. Again, one way to spawn in the new stuff, and all it looks like this, right? I'll link some generators in the description to help you out as well, right? What do I can't remember off the top of my head what I usually use. MySode, I think it's pronounced, or MySode. Either way, loot table, then recipes, right? Nice and simple to set up as well. Again, you can just go through the Minecraft directly and pull them all out, right? Just look for iron armor, iron underscore boots, iron underscore leggings, etc. Copy them, place them into your data pack, and tweak them. There we have it. Even shorter than last, because again, it is just super simple. Any data pack work you've done before, right? Just incorporate the new item models. And there you go. Crafting, loot tables, horses, wolves, go nuts. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.